That was a ride. Rule number 1 as a content creator. Always, always, always triple check that your devices are actually recording before moving forward. I had sat down at an unintentional 1:01 p.m. to get prepped to hit record. I unintentionally hit record, or so I thought, at 1:11 p.m. Spirit walked us through some beautifulness, only for me to find out that I was not recording. So we're going to go back through it. Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Angel, and this is Angel Starlight Tarot, where we talk about all things energy, astrology, numerology, tarot, and beyond. So we can connect the dots from our own perceptions, within our own stories, personally and interpersonally. I do hope that you'll hang around and grow with me here in this space as I settle in with you all. If you are here with me, thank you so much for your support and the sharing of your time. It means more than you know. Please hit that like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get future notifications. Feel free to comment below. I would love to interact with you there. It all helps us reach the YouTube gods and spread the message. Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Let's talk about it. But we're going to talk about the full moon in Aquarius energy that we're under first. Today, the full moon, the releasing of what no longer serves us, with a blanket energy of Aquarius. It's a time to let the towers fall for a smoother ride. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Saturn. Innovation, surprise, events, original. Saturn, some call it the daddy planet. It's responsibility for all the right reasons. When we think about a father, when we think about a daddy, most of us think of love, care, but also discipline. If we need the discipline, we're going to get the discipline. But we're also going to receive that love and care. On a high vibe, Aquarius energy is our airbenders, as Ramblin' Mike reminded me of last night. If you all have not introduced yourselves to Ramblin' Mike over at Ramblin' Nation, I highly encourage you to do so. We have an absolute blast over there. If you need to be lifted in spirit in any way, shape, or form, Ramblin' Mike is a place to go. And I highly encourage you to go see if you resonate in with the energy there. So much fun. We have so much fun. Aquarius is intellectual, independent, tolerant, idealistic, a humanitarian, friendly, social, creative, unique, humorous, freedom-loving, non-traditional, big thinkers, but mustn't forget their surroundings. On a lower frequency, Aqua energy looks and feels unpredictable, emotionally detached, aloof, rebellious, calculating, contradicting, distant, restless, chaotic, unyielding, eccentric in all the wrong ways, or for the wrong reasons. I was corrected. So maybe many of us need to release our own lower frequencies, or disengage from the low frequency beings we're around that ultimately lowers our own frequency. It's a time to focus on how we feel about things, even if we're not used to doing that. It may be uncomfortable at first, but it will lead us to our own Ten of Cups energy, which also then magnetizes to us our own Ten of Pentacles energy. Thursday, actually, it's a great time to go ahead and plug David Palmer again, the Leo King. I again highly encourage you to go over there as well. I invite you to look past what you may not enjoy, to hear the content and what's being said. We'll leave it at that for now. Our day, our numerology for August 11th, 2022, breaks down to the number 7. Lucky number 7. It represents a quest for knowledge. As we're with the full moon release and the Aquarius energy of freedom and innovation, also being ruled by Saturn and Uranus. Discipline for the good and the shocker. What we think is not what will come to fruit, but will be much more grand when we see the surprises Uranus can bring. The number 7 is ruled by Neptune, the psychic, the intuition, ideas, spiritual compassion, dreams and delusions, the subconscious, all things magical and enchanting. Neptune rules the Pisces energy. Pisces embodies all of our zodiac energies as the last sign of the wheel. Again, our psychics, our intuitives. The number 7 drives the desire for spiritual wisdom. 7 is the problem solvers, looking for the reasons why, and the natural healer. The 7 likes to be alone, wholeness and perfection. It's associated with ascension and life free of obstacles, both deep and wise, not satisfied with simple explanation on a surface level. The surface is frivolous. It knows the real gold is buried deeper and won't stop until it finds it, and then keeps digging until it hits the start of that root. Asking questions, listening, and sensing are all special skills of 7. The 7 is aware. Though spiritual, it takes more of an intellectual approach than an emotional one. An analytical number, a more powerful intuition than you might expect. A combination of conscious and subconscious thinking allows the mind of the 7 to shine a light into the deepest realms of hidden truth. Religion alone is too limiting for the boundless. 7 seeks to absorb as much understanding as it can, whether practical or metaphysical. It's not just a sponge for information. There's strength in sorting through what it finds, what's useful versus what's meaningless. The 7 can be reclusive, spending most time in deep thought and study. It doesn't place much importance on the lighter side of life. Over time, this can backfire on the 7. Don't stay there. Find the balance. 7 can be secretive, more comfortable holding its cards close to its chest, but prevents a connection with others in a genuine way. They can be suspicious. Life path 7s, for example. They tend to be solitary creatures who have a lot to learn about relationships and vulnerability. In tarot, we see the chariot. Chariot is our Cancer card. Motherhood, tenacious, protective, incredibly nurturing. The chariot is on a quest, both focused with intention to drive his energy towards purpose. Libra and Pisces are also both associated with number 7. Libra is the 7th sign and is a sign of unwavering truth. Pisces is the most spiritual and encourages us to connect with what's deeper and greater than ourselves. And then as I was setting up, I was told that they wanted to show off bottom of the deck energy on all three decks. So I cleared and shuffled and set down all 3 decks for bottom of the deck energy. What was cool about that is I started with the unicorns. Excuse me. And I let the unicorns know that I was going to pull a bookmark card for our chariot card in the Mythic Tarot. And I cleared and shuffled, and as I was shuffling, I was going back and forth with if I was supposed to see the card before I did the video or if I was supposed to be surprised with you guys. And I had decided that I wanted to be surprised with you guys. I also have a little bit of a thing as far as cutting the deck. I don't always and almost rarely do I cut the deck. It's just not something that I've ever been drawn to the need of doing. And I let the unicorns know that I was going to cut the deck and take that middle card as a card flew out of the deck face down across the room. So that is our bookmark card that I do now know what is there, but I did not at the time, and I made sure of that. As I then went to the Mythic Tarot deck and pulled the Chariot card out, pulled the bottom of the deck energy out, and I did not want to look at it, but was told to look at it and was not doing it. I went to put the Chariot card in its place and picked up the bottom of the deck energy. So I knew what that card was, and I seen it at the very moment that Minopon Chris was pulling that card in his Gemini reading for, I believe, August 7th through the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. I was supposed to see the card. It was the same card that he was pulling in that moment. And he is just another one that I highly encourage and invite you, if you're not already there, to go take a peek at Minnow Pond Chris. He does an amazing job for us. He's very intellectual with the way he puts forward his reads, and has a way with the cards and a way with his stories that, again, is very, very capable of showing the way, is what I was just told. Lifting up and helping to show the way. Energy is forever fluid. Time is fluid. There's no such thing as time in that regard. So energies are always changing. And he is another one that I encourage you to go see if you resonate with. He does a great job for us. So thanks, Chris. And if I forget to say so, then there was another moment as I had books fall under my feet that should not have fallen as we were discussing this card at the end of the read. I can't make this stuff up. I don't cheat spirit again. I refuse, as I hope everybody else does as well. But spirit spoke because Chris has been experiencing some stuff through his videos lately in his new place, and it decided to mimic it mirror it right up as I was discussing the card, and the fact that Chris had pulled the card. And then we went into, and I pulled the bottom of the deck energy for the fairies as well. and the fairies decided that they wanted to have quite the conversation with us. In, through, and around all that, as I pulled the bottom of the deck energy for the unicorn, I didn't know we were going to do so, but they then told me to cut the deck and go and show that card, that we needed to see that as well. They ultimately did the same thing with the fairy deck, and now I'm being told, since the last one did not record, that we're going to do that with the Mythic Tarot at the end of this one. So bottom of the deck for the unicorns that they originally wanted to show us. Which was right on point with our day and the rest of the energy that's out there. Relax. Everything's okay. And I hear every little thing's gonna be alright. Breathe. Don't worry. It's all going to be fine. At which point I was told to cut the deck. And had a lovely surprise for us all as the healer came back through. If you've watched some other videos, she's popping through for us quite a bit. You have the power to help and heal others. Sorry, guys. Bottom of the deck energy for the fairies that initially wanted to be shown. Mother. Protection. 15 may mean something to you. 6 may mean something to you. 12 may mean something to you. Breaks down to a 3. That was another moment in time in the first videos that had already been called out. 1s and 3s were popping. At which point I was told to cut the deck again. And pulled mountains. 21. 3. 6. There's an 8 in the middle of those 3s. She's looking at those mountains. Facing the mountains. She's not trying to go under the mountain. She's not trying to fly over it. She's not trying to get around it. She's looking right at it, facing it. These ended up here. No, and these are backwards from where they were. Because then they showed, and I set the cards like this, but I didn't pay attention to those at first. It was just open. It was just open. I seen them, but they weren't talking yet. As the 8 of Wands was the bottom of the deck energy of the Mythic Tarot that was literally being spoken through my phone at the same time that I did not want to see this card, and Spirit made me see this card. Moving on to calmer shores. Still a little rough. We still got the rough water. We're still looking at the mountains. But we're doing it. And the calmer water is coming. Thanks for being you, Chris. the Chariot, our number 7 card, representing our day in numerology. And again, the unicorns popped this card out and threw it across the room, face down, so that I didn't see at the time, but I do know what it is now. And it ended up being simplicity. My most favorite word of all times. This used to be my email address. It used to be in my terminology all the time. Bring back the simplicity. We make everything so much harder than it needs to be in our today world. We were programmed for it. Things don't have to be difficult. 21:02 on the clock. Put your energy into the basics and let go of the excess. Then I realized what happened here. Well, they want me to pull the book again. Hang on. The first time around, they wanted you to they wanted you to hear the keywords. 15, the bear. Authority, mother, headstrong, power. On page 11. And of course we mentioned mother in our daily read just a bit ago. The mountain, 21, on page 12, mirror. Obstacles, bones, diversion. Redirection is protection. Look at it, figure out what you're going to do. I then realized that commitment was above the mother, the care, the love. Commit to looking at everything that's going on around you instead of acting like it's not there. And what numbers do we see? Sure enough, we break down to a 7. At which point I realized the stars were above the mountains, giving us another number 7. Something's not right here. Yeah, something happened here. It's not always easy, but we are protected. Breaks down to a 9. Completion. End of a cycle. I have a life path number 9. The archangels are here. Number 4. Home, comfort, heart. It's time to feel things. It's time to let our intuition and our feelings lead the way. How do we feel about the people around us? How do we feel when we're inside our homes? If it doesn't feel good, it's not for us anymore. Then my mind got blown when I realized what was again sitting here for us. Number 1, the female. The Chariot, in a sense. And three. We have 13. 1, 3. 1 plus 3 equals 4. There's the dude in the canoe. When you decide to jump onto the new timeline, we can move forward. There's going to be people that are going to make the choice to stay on the lower vibrational matrix setting. We are in a super fast timeline jump yet again. And we have been for a minute. Really, it's been that way, but it really got intense with this last new moon in Leo. Speaking of, let me mention before we read the Chariot, the 8-8 Lion's Gate. Let's talk about that term right quick. Because you have a lot of people that definitely followed with that. How is that for some confirmation? There's a lot of people that followed that energy. I am not one. I despise words at this point. I despise terms. I despise titles. There's 15 definitions to the same word, and perception is everything. Energy doesn't speak words. We don't have to speak words, but yet we have to speak words so we can communicate and help this along. So when it comes to the 8-8 portal gate, or the 8-8 Lion's Gate, for example, if that is something that helps our collective lift up and start getting in tune with the higher dimension of the timeline that we've entered, I'm all for it. I don't care what we call it. I don't care what we call it. If it helps guide our people to a higher frequency, if it's that catchword, that catchphrase that brings them to an understanding and starts them on their path to spirituality, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Drink a coffee, guys. I'm sorry. I really, really, really hope that my nectar collector didn't just break as it flung to the ground. books falling, shit. Okay, whatever. The Chariot. Again, 7th card in the deck. Got 7s all over the place on this board right now. We got everything's gonna be okay, relax. Got the healers. It's time to move forward. It's time to bring back the simplicity. Which I think that's why I've been guided to do this daily breakdown and just what the day itself can represent and what the numerology in our day represents, without so much of the astrological aspects that many are starting to understand. Because there's still a simple layer here. There's still a simplicity in the root. There's all these branches that come off, absolutely. But there's a bit of a foundation, so to speak. There's other things that we can look at and can help us resonate with the positive side of things versus the negative side of things. The card of the Chariot portrays a handsome, virile man with curly auburn hair, blue eyes, and ruddy complexion, driving a bronze war chariot. He is dressed in bronze armor, bronze helmet, and a blood-red tunic. At his hip is a bronze shield, and at his side is balanced a large spear. He grips his reins of 2 horses, one black and one white, which pull in opposite directions before him. The dusty road on which he travels winds into a reddish desert-like landscape, while the sky lowers with an impending storm. The desert landscape through which Eris drives lacks water, an image of the lack of feeling and relatedness in which the aggressive impulses thrive. Yet Eris and Aphrodite are drawn together, as though the instincts of strife and relatedness are in some way secretly connected. Eris's spear forms the traditional symbol for the masculine, an image of the phallic power and potency in both men and women. The black and white horses, like the dual columns in the card of the High Priestess, reflect the potential for both good and evil contained in the aggressive instinct. Here we meet the war god Eris, who has said in myth to have been conceived by Hera, queen of gods, without male seed. As god of war, Eris reveled in fighting, his 2 squires, Fear and Terror, sometimes said to be his sons, accompanied him on the battlefield. Unlike the goddess Athene, who as war deity represented cool strategy and foresight, Eris was in love with the heat and glory of battle itself, and with the exultant unleashing of his strength to challenge the foe. Eris was in many ways an unappealing god because he was associated with conflict and bloodshed. The Olympian Zeus and Athene disliked him for his brute strength and lack of refinement, but the love goddess Aphrodite had different tastes, impressed by the vigor of the handsome warrior whom she doubtless compared with all her ill-favored husband, the smith god Hephaestus. She fell in love with Eris. The sentiment was quickly reciprocated. Eris took unscrupulous advantage of Hephaestus. Absence to dishonor the martial couch. Whoa. Wait. Absence to dishonor the marital couch. Thank you. But the husband discovered the adulterous affair and planned a witty revenge. Secretly, he forged a net so fine that it could not be seen, but so strong that it could not be broken. He arranged this net above the couch, where the lovers normally frolicked. When next The couple met and later fell asleep. The invisible net spread over them, and Hephaestus called all the gods to witness the shame of his wife and her lover. But Eris' ardor was unquenched by his embarrassment, and later from his union with Aphrodite, a daughter was born. Harmonia, whose quality, as her name suggests, was a harmonious balancing of love and strife. On an inner level, Eris, the driver of the chariot, is an image of the aggressive instincts guided and directed by the will of the consciousness. The horses which pull the chariot in opposite directions are portrayals of the conflicting animal urges within ourselves, full of vitality, yet unwilling to work in harmony. They must be handled with strength and firmness, yet not repressed or broken, or we lose the power and potency to survive and make our way in life. Eris, the fatherless god, as we have Saturn in play today, is in some ways an image of the natural, aggressive, and competitive instincts of the body itself, for he lacks the archetypal spiritual father who might provide him with vision and meaning. But his iron will and great courage are a necessary dimension of human character. For spiritual vision alone is not sufficient to strive in a competitive, difficult world. Having invoked conflict as a result of his choices in love, the fool must now confront the second of life's great lessons, the creative harnessing of the violent, turbulent urges of the instinctual nature. Thus, through the figure of Eris, the driver of the chariot, he arrives at maturity. In the card of the lovers, the fool is still an adolescent, compelled by romantic dreams and the desire to possess a beautiful object. But through the chariot, he learns to take the consequences of his actions like a man, and faces the anger and conflict which he has invoked both inside and outside himself. Like the fool, we, men and women, must learn to struggle with the wearing opposites and warlike urges within ourselves, if we are to survive in the jungle of life. In myth, Eris is forever getting into trouble, either through an angry quarrel with someone or through the ruthless pursuit of a love object. But he survives all his humiliations and defeats and emerges stronger. Ultimately, he fathers a child who embodies the serenity which can be found at the end of a conflict, which has been creatively handled. The strife which Eris embodies is a necessary experience. No matter how spiritually committed or selflessly loving we attempt to become, the aggressive drives within us do not die. They can be disowned and forced into the subconscious, where they reemerge as illness or are projected upon others, who then unleash aggression upon us. If we can meet the challenge of Eris, then we can be more honest about this vital force within, and the struggle of learning to contain and direct it fosters development of the whole personality. On a divinatory level, the card of the chariot, appearing in a spread, augurs conflict and struggle which can result in a stronger personality. One may come face to face not only with aggression in others, but with one's own competitive and aggressive drives. This conflict cannot be avoided, but needs to be faced with strength and containment. Thus the fool comes to harmony through learning to handle his own contradictions, and passes from the world of adolescence to the next stage of his journey. And the chariot began on page 39, 40, and 41. 3s, 9s. We've seen the 4. We've got the 8s. We've got the car confirming us outside. Beautiful. I do hope that you receive something from this. The first one, I miss already. Peace, calm, still be with you. Love and light.